be cute, but I can't. Jamal Bryant's wife looked absolutely stunning in that dress. The dress looked beautiful. Her shape, everything about it. It was just beautiful, right? But as someone who's supposed to be representing the kingdom of God, it should not have been worn outside of the house. Simple as that. It's literally that simple, y'all. Here's the thing. People be like, oh, well, she wasn't going to church. Oh, well, she wasn't doing da-da-da-da. We are the church. And wherever we go, we're supposed to be representing God. Therefore, what we wear, how we present ourselves, it matters. She didn't look like she was representing the kingdom of God that day.
And Jamal Brown, where all that is in the Bible? Okay. I bought the dress. Is that in the Old Testament or the New Testament? I don't know. She married to me. Is that in Proverbs or Galatians? Which, everything that you said, was that before or after Moses parted the Red Sea?
The pews were packed, the choir was singing, and the air was thick with anticipation. But the congregation wasn't prepared for the scandal that was about to walk through the doors. When the pastor's wife arrived wearing what many described as a nude, skin-tight dress, the sanctuary turned into a scene of absolute chaos. This wasn't just a fashion faux pas. It was the spark that ignited a firestorm of family secrets that had been simmering under the surface of this ministry for years. Today, we are breaking down the moment she crashed out during the Sunday service, screaming at the deacons and exposing the dark reality behind the parsonage doors. Was it a mental breakdown or a calculated act of rebellion against a husband who isn't who he claims to be? From leaked group chats to the hidden lifestyle of the First Lady, we are exposing everything the church tried to bury. In the world of the traditional church, the First Lady, the pastor's wife, is expected to be the ultimate symbol of modesty, grace, and submission. She is the blueprint for every woman in the congregation. So when she stepped out of the black SUV and walked toward the sanctuary doors in a dress so sheer and flesh-toned that it left nothing to the imagination, the shockwaves were physical. It wasn't just that the dress was short or tight. It was nude in both color and implication, designed to provoke, designed to shatter the very image she had spent a decade building. Witnesses say the ushers at the front door froze, unsure whether to offer her a robe or bar her entry entirely. But this wasn't an accident, this was a statement. The choice of attire was the first weapon used in her crash out. For years, insiders claim she had been forced into a modesty cage by a husband who used the pulpit to control her every move. The dress was her way of saying that the public image of the godly family was officially dead. As she walked down the center aisle, the music stopped. The silence was deafening. People began to whisper, some even pulled out their phones to record, capturing the moment the pastor's face turned from a holy glow to a deep, enraged crimson. The psychological weight of this moment is immense. Why would a woman of her standing risk her reputation, her husband's career, and her social status in such a provocative way? Sources close to the family say she had reached her breaking point. The nude dress was a visual representation of her feeling exposed and stripped of her dignity behind the scenes. She wanted the church to see her as she felt, vulnerable, judged, and defiant. When the pastor attempted to cut the service short and pull her into the back office, she didn't go quietly. She grabbed the microphone, and that's when the crash out truly began. She began to shout about the hypocrisy of the front row. She pointed at the deacons and called out their Saturday night habits. She looked her husband in the eye and told the congregation that the man they worshipped as a saint on Sundays was a monster from Monday to Saturday. The dress was just the bait, the words were the hook. The congregation, which had been taught to never touch the Lord's anointed, was suddenly forced to watch the anointed's own wife tear down the altar. This behavior is what psychologists call reactive abuse or a public discard. After years of being suppressed, the victim decides to destroy the abuser's most valuable asset, his reputation. By wearing that dress, she ensured that no one would ever look at the pastor's holy household the same way again. The visuals were too strong to be forgotten. The images of her in that dress, standing in the pulpit and screaming for justice, have since gone viral in local church circles, sparking a debate on whether she is a Jezebel or a survivor. But the dress was only the tip of the iceberg. What she said next about their family secrets would send the elders into a legal frenzy to keep the footage from being released to the general public. As the pastor's wife stood her ground, the secrets she began to spill weren't just about her husband. They were about the entire power structure of the ministry. She alleged that the church's emergency fund wasn't going to the poor, but was instead being used to fund a second life for the pastor in a nearby city. These are the family secrets that have been kept under lock and key by non-disclosure agreements and hush money payments for the better part of 5 years. She claimed she had the bank statements, the texts, and the metadata to prove that the ministry was nothing more than a front for a massive financial shell game. But it got more personal. She began to describe the domestic theater they played every day. She detailed how the children were coached on what to say during vlogs and church interviews. She described a home life filled with spiritual gaslighting, where any disagreement was labeled as demonic possession. The First Lady told the crying congregation that their miracle marriage was actually a legal arrangement kept alive by the church board to ensure the tithes kept flowing. If they divorced, the brand would die, and the board couldn't afford to let that happen. The most shocking revelation involved a secret room in the parsonage that she claimed contained evidence of her husband's unholy addictions. As she spoke, the deacons physically moved in to take the microphone, but she fought them off, her nude-colored dress a blur of defiance against their black suits. She was exposing the God complex that many high-profile pastors develop, a belief that they are above the law and above the morality they preach to others. The secrets weren't just about sex and money. They were about the absolute dehumanization she felt. She spoke about being medicated into silence by church-appointed doctors who told her that her depression was actually lack of faith. This is a dark side of church culture that is rarely talked about, the silent wives who carry the weight of the ministry's sins while being told to smile for the camera. By crashing out in the most public way possible, she broke the spell. She wasn't just exposing her husband, she was exposing the system that protected him. The reaction from the church was immediate damage control. The live stream was cut, the ushers began to escort people out, but the damage was done. The family secrets were now public property. One witness claimed that the wife shouted about a secret child the pastor had fathered years ago, a child whose silence was bought with the church's building fund. This is the kind of explosive information that leads to FBI investigations and the total collapse of multi-million-dollar ministries. Erica Kirk's situation with Charlie Kirk draws a strange parallel here. The idea of the perfect wife becoming the ultimate liability. When the woman who knows where all the bodies are buried decides she no longer wants to keep the shovel, the entire empire trembles. The secrets she exposed that morning didn't just hurt the pastor, they threatened the livelihoods of everyone on the payroll. This is why the church's response was so aggressive. They weren't trying to save a soul. They were trying to save a balance sheet. The First Lady was no longer a partner. She was a whistleblower in a nude dress, and the church wasn't going to let her walk away without a fight. In the days following the nude dress crash out, the church's response was eerily similar to the robot-like emotional mimicry scene in the TPUSA camp. The pastor released a pre-recorded video where he appeared calm, almost unnaturally so. He didn't address the dress, the money, or the secrets. Instead, he used Christian essay to label his wife as unwell and under a spiritual attack. He asked for privacy and prayers, while his legal team worked behind the scenes to seize her phone and laptop. This is the gaslighting defense, making the whistleblower look crazy so that no one listens to the truth they just told. Social media, however, has been less forgiving. TikTok and YouTube detectives have been digging into the family secrets she mentioned. They've found property records and business filings that seem to back up her claims of a second life. The nude dress has become a symbol of the unfiltered truth. People are pointing out that the church's obsession with her clothing is a distraction from the pastor's obsession with corruption. Why are we talking about the length of a skirt when we should be talking about the missing millions? The family secrets have now spread to the wider community. Other women who worked in the church office have started coming forward, emboldened by the wife's crash out. They speak of a toxic culture of silence, where modesty was used as a weapon to keep women small, while the men in leadership operated with zero accountability. The pastor's wife has reportedly gone into hiding, but her crash out has sparked a Church Me Too movement in her local area. The analysis of her mental state by church elders is particularly disturbing. They are using the Erica Kirk strategy, claiming she doesn't seem human or is possessed to justify why they had to physically restrain her. But as many observers have noted, she didn't seem possessed, she seemed fed up. The robot defense only works if the audience hasn't already seen the raw human emotion of the victim. This story is a warning to every high-control organization. You can only suppress the truth for so long before it crashes out in a way you can't control. Whether it's a DNA test in the Kirk family or a nude dress in a mega-church, the truth has a way of finding the most shocking path to the light. The secrets exposed have led to a mass exodus from the church. The pews are empty, the tithes have stopped, and the pastor is facing a board of inquiry. The wife, meanwhile, is being hailed by some as a vigilante of the truth. She didn't use a lawyer or a press release. She used her own body and her own voice to tear down a temple built on lies. The family secrets are no longer secrets, they are the lead story on every local news station. The nude dress wasn't a sin. It was a revelation. It showed the world exactly what was hidden beneath the pastor's expensive suits. A hollow man running a hollow ministry. As the investigation continues, people are wondering if the real father of the church's problems is the very man who stood in the pulpit every Sunday. The crash out was the end of her life as a pastor's wife, but it was the beginning of her life as a free woman. This scandal is far from over, and the family secrets are still leaking out one text message at a time. Was the pastor's wife right to crash out during the service, or did she go too far by wearing that nude dress in the house of God? Some say she is a hero for exposing the hypocrisy, while others believe she's just as guilty for keeping the secrets for so long. We want to hear from you. Does the church have a right to silence whistleblowers, or is it time for more first ladies to speak up? Drop your comments below. This is a conversation that needs to happen. If you want to see the leaked metadata and the evidence the church is trying to ban, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We are following this scandal to the very end. Don't look away, the truth is finally being revealed.